Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Spoils of Akron podcast. We are here at a special video podcast this week with Sage Lewis and Paul Hayes, and Shane's here with me. And we're at Second Chance Village today, right?
This
yeah,
is
this
the, and
Second
this
Chance
is the
Village.
Second Chance store within the Second Chance
In our background
Village.
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we could try to explain what's happening, but I think we'll let Sage Lewis do this.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to start?
Yeah, come on, Sage.
Okay, so everything that has happened here is done by the homeless. This is all for the homeless, by the homeless. It's like America, you know, for the people, by the people, the whole thing.
All right.
So everything that you see throughout here has been created by the people that live here. It is their place. Everything here is for them. So these are all donations. So everything here has been donated, or I'm an auctioneer, and so sometimes we have auctions and there's leftover stuff and people can either pick it up or they'll just donate it. And so we do that, and it's constantly rotating. So a guy by the name of Herman, he runs this store, and he's amazing at retail. He's always cycling stuff. He's moving stuff out, moving stuff around. So like he's got pots and pans here. He's got this cool stove. You know, he knows what people really want in this area, and he like serves it up.
Do you think that Herman could come in and organize my basement? Because I'm pretty impressed.
Herman is great, but we got another guy, Steve, that's off the charts with organization. Like I always use him at my auctions. Like I can take the craziest hoarder you can imagine and just throw Steve at it, and it will be ready to go.
That sounds
Awesome.
like a show, a sitcom. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
It does sound very cool. Now, anybody can come in here, right, and just buy whatever's out.
Yeah, that's right. So if you are if you just are out and want to check out thrift stores, you're welcome to. But if you are needy, you can just come and we'll give you stuff too. So like it's very flexible, you know.
So it seems like the level of organization that happens in this room would be a necessity, because how many people are staying here now at the Second Chance Village?
Do you know like where we're at right now, Paul?
Or close to.
It fluctuates between 30 and 50 at any time.
Yeah.
30
And
to
it's a
50.
constant change. We're sending people to rehabilitation facilities for drugs and alcohol and all kinds of things, or removing them from the property because they refuse to be sober or follow any of the rules. So it's a constant flow.
So I'm sure that's an important rule. It's like the number one is to be clean and sober, and in order to just maintain like the peace in the whole facility.
Yes, definitely.
So is that sort of like the overriding issue that would cause people to leave or be asked to leave?
Mainly, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or severe mental problems. That's very hard to deal with too. If it's too severe, I mean, we can deal with quite a bit, but if it's too severe, no.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we only have so much capability, so we don't have any specialists on staff. Like there's no doctors here, there's no psychologists, there's no therapists. But what we do is we work very closely with all the other organizations in the community. So, you know, community support services, Portage Path. We work with all these people. Peter Morin Center is a huge support for us. And so we're not trying to take over anybody else's role. We're just trying to fill the gaps in the homeless ecosystem.
So, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So your role, can we kind of go back a little bit? Can you explain to us what the Second Chance Village is? What is your mission and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah. You want to go with that, Paul?
Give everybody a second chance.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically it. So we are looking for the poorest of the poor, the most down and out. So we are taking people that have no money, making no income, that are truly living in the woods. We repeatedly, over and over again, find people in the woods, pull them out, and bring them here. So there are many people in all across America living in cracks in the walls, living in dumpsters, living in little shrubs, you know, any place they can hide. They have to hide because the city is always trying to push them out, trying to push them away from wherever they are, you know. So they become like these almost scared animals, like raccoons. Like it's, you know, I'm not trying to demean them. I'm just trying to relate to you what it's like. I mean, to be that kind of existence. You're afraid. You're afraid of your cohorts that are on the street. You're afraid of the police. You're afraid of everything.
So those are examples of when you're saying people are pushed out. So that's what you're saying. Sometimes it's fear and it's safety. What other types of things? Like what else are you referencing when you say that?
The fact of the matter is that if you walk through downtown very, very early in the morning before anybody gets up, all the homeless are crawling out of everywhere to get away so that they're not caught where they're sleeping and whatnot.
Yeah. So you do, like, one of the first things I'm trying to share with society as a whole is that these people are feeling like less than human. They are experiencing a less than human existence, and that's not good for any of us. You don't have to be altruistic and care a lick about homeless people to realize that is pulling us all down. This is dragging us down as a community as far as resources and support. And I mean, it's just like large wild animals living in our streets because we don't have a solution for them. That there was nothing for these people until this, you know.
And why don't some of those other traditional routes work for people?
Well, that would be, a lot of people demand freedom. They demand it. If you start putting a lot of heavy rules and regulations on them, they're not going to go along with that.
And what kind of rules and regulations might people resist?
Well, like the Haven Arrest, all the rules that are there. Nothing to say bad about the Haven Arrest. They help a lot of people, but a lot of people can't deal with that kind of strict, you know, walk in, you got to stand in line, you got to do this, you got to do that.
Okay.
Here we make our own rules. All the homeless decide what's gonna happen, what the rules are gonna be, and you know, they're making their own rules. How can they complain?
And you actually have a council to help establish those rules.
Yes.
That, like you said, it's like for the people, by the people that are here.
We have a tri-council for the village. We're getting ready to do another election now because one of the guys doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. So when you came in, you were talking about, you used this word rogue, which I really love. That defines a lot of what we are experiencing with folks here. No one is homeless for one reason. People are homeless for a slew of reasons. So there's mental health, and there's addiction, and then there's self-worth, and there's just down and out bad luck. It's, you know, any one of those things you can survive. You can escape through. You know, you can be a raging alcoholic and live in regular society, but you can't be a raging alcoholic and bipolar and have no support system. It's impossible. It's just impossible. The greatest human on earth can't survive that kind of headwind. And so consequently, you get people that are out in the woods because they feel like they have been left alone. They don't feel like anybody cares. And so now you've made these rogues that have become this because of their surroundings, and to go from being this wild entity in the woods to being in this strict order is a lot of people just go back to the woods.
Huge step.
It's a huge step.
Well, it's interesting too because I was reading that it's estimated that the homeless population is about 200 people in Akron.
That's what they count. That's the point in time.
I would assume that would be a hard thing to assess, actually, right?
For sure.
Because it rotates.
That is a very low estimate.
Yeah.
Oh,
very, very low.
What do you think is the estimate? What do you think was
way higher than that.
Yeah. So
Way,
that's
way
a
higher.
point in time. So what they do is in January, there's a day in January, I think across the country the way it works, is everybody goes out and they count the homeless on that day. They go out and they try and find them. So there's like a group of people and they're like, today's Count the Homeless Day. And so they go out and they look for all the places they can find homeless. And they're like, 200. We have 200. We went over to this shelter. We counted them. We went over to this shelter. We knew there was a camp down here. We knew there was a guy over here, and we got him.
You have to think about the fact that the homeless, including me, are always getting pushed everywhere. So you're not in one place for very long. You're always going here, going there, going there. I was walking 24 miles a day, every day, for years.
Right.
And how are you going to get counted?
Yeah, and regularly I get calls or Facebook messages from parents looking for their kids. And nobody's seen them. I don't think they're dead. I don't think they've, I think they're probably somewhere in a hole in this town and nobody's seen them.
So, and I mean, that's the other thing, like, it's a temporary amount of time, or you're couch surfing, for example.
Yeah.
So I was homeless yesterday, but now I'm kind of not, and so I mean,
Right.
it fluctuates. So that's interesting.
Well,
But I mean, if the number were 200
Yeah.
and there are 30 people here, that's a
Yeah.
significant amount of the population.
That would be a
whom
huge
you're
population.
assisting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah.
it is a decent chunk, and I think we're able usually to take the amount of people that come to us that know about us. We're still very new. This is our first year in
That's
existence.
true. Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, every once in a while we do hit our wall of just physically not able to take any more people. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to know. They estimate New York City has 60,000 homeless. How do they know? How do you know there's 60,000 homeless? They probably look at all the shelters that are full of homeless people and then add another 20-30%, because you just...
So it's all really a guesstimate, basically.
It's all a guesstimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you look at the reports online, the big studies that have gone out there, it's those numbers. Look at the number of homeless children, and then look at the number of homeless adults, and and then look at the number for all the homeless, and those numbers won't jive at all. Like they don't add up.
They won't match.
So it's so hard to know. How many people are homeless. And then you have just temporary homeless people. If you're homeless for a day, you're homeless. And that counts, or homeless for 2 weeks, or homeless for a month, So those people are dropping in and dropping out of the homeless situation.
I was homeless for 6 or 7 years, but I wasn't always outside that entire time. There were brief moments where I was at my daughter's or somewhere else for a short period of time. So it's impossible to count everybody.
Right.
Because they're everywhere.
Right. You just never be able to find everyone to be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
They might be at somebody's house that day. They might be out of town that day. They might be, down getting some food somewhere.
Or in a hospital.
You sort of scatter as a whole, like it's part of that whole lifestyle, because otherwise you sort of have to keep moving, right?
They're trying to hide.
Right, exactly.
They don't want to be noticed.
It's like
they
and
don't
all
want to
those
be
like
moved.
non-loitering signs, right?
Right.
Is like that's what keeps you just constantly
Yeah,
rotating.
yeah.
So that would be hard to identify.
Yeah,
And they don't want to. They don't want to publicly, visibly see anybody to see them going to where they sleep. Because the next thing you know, they're kicked out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, speaking of keeping moving, I think we're going to check out another part of the Second Chance Village here.
Sounds good.
Let's go.
And we're back. We are in the food pantry part of the Second Chance store in Village, correct?
That's exactly right.
So how many meals are made here every day, and how many meals are served here each and every day?
Oh, it's all day.
All day long?
This is staffed all day long, from the time we open till after we close.
Yeah. So you get a constant influx. So we've got 30 to 50 people that live here, and then you have all the other people that come for support services here. So, there are many people living in the woods right now as we speak. I took a woman directly from hernia surgery over at City Hospital to her tent in the woods. This is going on. It's everywhere. So, especially as it gets cold, people are coming here for coffee. They're coming here for food. So there's always something being made. And mind you, we are not a commercial kitchen. So we're making things in crock pots. We're making microwave stuff. We have a hot plate that we use. So it's all kind of, just patched together, which is pretty much the whole thing. It's just,
So it's like a college dorm room.
It's exactly like a college dorm room. Yes, exactly.
Do you make
A lot
grilled
of ramen
cheese?
noodles,
Yeah,
Mario.
yeah.
I love
Oh,
ramen
I
noodles.
know.
Yeah.
So I noticed also, I've been in a lot of day centers in town, and this seems to be the least chaotic of many that I've seen. Everyone seems
Really?
to be very harmonious, and yeah, I mean, maybe they're just behaving because we're here with cameras, but I noticed that people are really everyone's sort of, there's a lot of camaraderie here, and everyone's friendly. And,
so everyone always gets along all the time, correct?
Oh, it's amazing. It's like yeah, exactly. It's like the Waltons around here.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, but I will say this: our community is critical here. So it is very intentional that we are bringing people into an organization and a community where they matter and they work together. So if you don't jive with the community, you probably are not going to last here. You'll either leave or be asked to leave. So what you saw here is pretty standard. You know, it's like there are rarely fights or outbursts, and if there are, like our security, which is all volunteer, just jumps on it. So, and we figure out why, if that's a temporary thing, if that was a one-time thing, or if there's something more permanent going on here. But we're intentionally trying to make it a cohesive community where people are working together for a common cause.
Sure. And you know, Sage, a couple of years ago, you sort of took the mantle of homelessness on when you were running for mayor, right?
That's it,
I mean,
yeah.
in running for mayor, you saw this problem existing in the city, and you wrapped your arms around it. And I've seen you know, doing live videos, actually panhandling for money for the homeless charity and for this organization.
Yeah, I have no pride.
And I have to say kudos. You've gotten a lot of coverage, a lot of exposure, a lot of recognition for this since that point.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd like to ask you is, you know, how do you see the issue of homelessness affecting other issues in the community? Because as I can see it, they overlap.
Oh, yeah.
You know, mental illness, drug addiction, you know, joblessness, LGBTQ issues.
100%.
It's like they're I see it as a giant Venn diagram. So how do you see this in the community and working with other issues?
So as I think about leadership, city leadership, there are two very distinct approaches. So you can do from the top down or the bottom up. And my personal observation of the city and most cities is you focus on the top. You figure out, how can we get more rich people in here? How can we make it wealthier? You know, you see it all the time. Let's get the cool hip kids into the city, which is totally cool. I get it. It's a philosophy, and I think a valid philosophy. But my approach is the bottom up. And the reason I go with that is that I believe it's this whole weakest link in the chain thing. I believe this is a weight on us that is not even obviously apparent, but it is dragging us down. So everyone here that is homeless and has no services is using hospital facilities, for example. They're getting surgeries. They're going to the doctors. And so those are all, and you just go to the hospital, it's filled with people that are poor and need help that probably should be going to their general practitioner. But they don't have a general practitioner. So they're going to the most expensive place in the city, the emergency rooms. And so right there, that is a drain. That is an economic drain. It is a drain on resources. It's just a drain. And then you have this addiction issue, mental health issue. These are all people that are running around town that are being just with no resources whatsoever, that are pulling us all down. I firmly believe that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with it is when you, as an individual, when you start having a mental health problem or an addiction problem or some kind of a problem, you notice a severe pulling back of everyone around you. I don't know how to explain that, but it's an issue. It's a huge issue. Well, here, we don't pull back. We surround that person. We try to lift them up and help them. Where out there in society, they're just all running away.
I think it makes people uncomfortable. And there's something that makes you uncomfortable, then you don't want to be around it. You don't want to look it in the face, you know, and it's difficult. It's difficult, you know. Yeah. So I see that in a lot of different things too, and I think that really nails it, you know. And you're bringing people with similar issues around to rally around and become that new family, that connection, which is vital.
There's nothing here that they haven't seen.
Right.
You're a prostitute. Exactly. You're a drug addict.
Yeah.
You're a sex addict. You're what? It doesn't matter.
Right.
You come here, we're ready. Like, and everybody else in society is like, whoa, whoa,
Running.
whoa, one little thing.
Running.
Oh, you're schizophrenic? Oh, no. I mean, like, here, you're like, whatever. So
You're like, oh, you only got that one thing?
Yeah, no,
Hey.
you're good here.
You only got one problem.
I know, I mean,
That
that's
guy
it.
over there's got
That's
10.
like a pill. We're good here. Let's move on.
And I like the idea of this sense of community, because a lot of problems, especially as they pertain to mental illness and addiction, I think aren't just a resource issue or a biological issue. I think some of it's social. You know, it's having that safety net of people around you that to help lift you up when you're, you know, at your most vulnerable. And I think that goes a long way.
Oh,
When
and
I
speak.
was,
No, you go. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, no,
When I was
please.
in the throes of addiction, I was a severe alcoholic for like 35 years or so. I saw part of the problem was I didn't think anybody cared. And that was pretty much a fact, because everybody just kind of ran away. There was no support. And I kept asking for help and asking for help. And it never came. What I wanted to do here was be the help. You know,
Right.
because you don't have to go any further than this door.
Sure.
And I'm going to try to help you, whatever way I can, because I was there. You know, I experienced it. I experienced all the people running away and going in the hospital or the treatment, or they do a quick thing and boot you out, and you're all alone again. No support system, no help.
Right.
I've been through all that. Here we suck them into the community, and we're a constant help. They're not left to their own devices. They get the support they need. They get the love they need. Like one of our villagers was, his brother went to jail for 8 years for some reason or another, and he was really, really upset. And we all surrounded him, and gave the love and support he needed.
And as someone who was homeless, how did the help you got here compared to other places in the past that have reached out to you?
I am the help, so I don't know.
Okay. So you came here with the intention of helping others, so you were already in a position of
Yes.
being able to do that, which is
Yes.
excellent. So.
I spent 6 to 7 years on the street, maybe 8 now. I'm not exactly sure. Wandering around, meeting all these people that wanted to help, and I was shocked, because in my life I didn't experience too many people that wanted help at all. And I spent all that time on the street, walking 24, 25 miles a day, collecting all this information about who was helping, doing what, and feeding, and like Akron Snow Angels and Say No to Dope. Those guys, all these various groups, Katie and Jody LaTampa, Revolution Ministries, and all these groups that are out on the street helping. But see, I noticed a severe problem there, because they can only help a little bit for that moment. Where when we started this, I wanted to be the help all the time. When somebody knocks on the door, I'm there to answer it. You understand?
Yeah.
There's a difference there. These people are just going out, helping for a few minutes, and then they're gone again. And your support system walks away.
Right.
You know, we're always here.
So it's
Need us, we're here.
conditional. So like what their help is like conditional in different ways, or it's temporary.
Temporary,
So
it's a meal.
what
it's
you're
a-
offering is it's unconditional. The door is open, come on in, you know, and
Yeah.
I mean to an extent where you have to at least
If we
respect
can-
other people's safety.
Right.
Mhm.
If we can try to help you in any way, we're going to try.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what it is.
And it's more holistic. It's relationship building. It's you know, have someone having a friend to talk to. It's more than just the resources, which is, you know, and in our community, some people think that poverty and homelessness are a resource issue, and they're really not. They're a symptom of bigger problems. So
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
biggest problem being we have a country full of people in little boxes
Mm.
that don't know anybody around them. Do you understand what I'm saying
yeah,
there?
we're
That's-
isolated
That's right.
as individuals. We often isolate ourselves, and we're as an animal, we're social animals. So
100%.
we're kind of contradicting our own nature by the way
It's
our
true.
culture is.
I think it's expounding mental health issues, like
Yeah.
that is going on in these little houses, you know, and it's scientifically proven that being with other people lifts your spirits, increases your mental health positivity, And so, again, it's very intentional that we're creating a community here where people are working together as a group, because we feel it helps the mental health issue.
There's no hiding here. There's tents.
Right.
You can't hide.
Right.
There's no hiding. You hear everything going on in the entire yard. When somebody needs help, we're there.
It's communal living. And
Yeah.
and speaking of tents, we're going to wrap up with going outside and seeing a little bit of this tent city you have here at the Second Chance store and Village. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and we're outside at the actual tent city. You've probably read about it in the Beacon Journal and a nice series that ran, and a couple other local outlets have published some stories about this really interesting community, we'll say, and how's it been out here since setting up the tent city? Any problems or any issues?
Every problem you can imagine.
That is true.
Well, you obviously solved them because it's still standing.
Yeah, so we intentionally, I guess just by necessity, and our idea was to do something completely from the ground up. So people would often say, hey, why don't you have this person from this shelter come, or, and it wasn't that we were trying, it wasn't like we were like, oh, well, we know best. We just wanted a clean slate. We wanted like tabula rasa. What would you do if you were going to work on homelessness with knowing nothing about how homelessness is supposed to be worked on?
Right.
And so when we first started this, one of the things we allowed was drinking. And we had campfires. A nightmare. Nightmare. Don't ever do that part. If you ever want to start one of these, don't do that.
Okay.
Just trust me.
No campfires.
I mean, we ended up.
We'll
one
take
morning, there was
Shage's word
a
for it.
guy passed out in the campfire. Like,
Oh,
fortunately,
no.
it was out, but I'm like, what are you doing? He wasn't a resident here. He just
Didn't know who it was.
I don't even know who the guy
He
was.
just said, hey, there's a party. I'm
Yeah,
stopping in.
it became this party center because people from the woods could come and hang out. They had, beer, and so that stopped. We never allowed drugs, so it was always like legal. We always, we had always adhered to the societal laws, but allowing drinking in this community is just asking for trouble. And what we also found was, and the ultimate reason we really stopped was there were a lot of people that were here that were trying to quit drinking. And they were like, hey man, seeing all these people drink around me is really hard. And so that, I think, was a big inspiration to stop that. And that I mean, early on, I'd say 80 to 90% of all of our problems were drinking related,
Definitely.
And now I would say a lot of our problems are still drug and alcohol related because it's still trying to seep in here. This is like like drug dealers try to get in here. I don't know why you want to sell drugs to people that don't have any money, but you do apparently. Sometimes prostitutes try to get in here. We haven't had that in a while, I don't think, but we've seen it all. People are using drugs, and so we've had to implement urine tests. We can do searches. When you sign in, you agree that this is not your property. It's not your tent. We're allowed to do searches and that sort of thing. And it's sort of sad. Like, I don't like to, like, that's not my vision of this, of having to be that kind of person, but it's for the good of the community.
Right, it's important to keep your image up with the way you want it.
The
right?
image is important,
Right,
so
absolutely.
it scares the community, the outer community, and it disrupts the inner community.
I believe personally that in order to help someone, they have to be a clear-minded body.
Right.
Absolutely.
You got to start from ground zero, which clear all that stuff out and start from the bottom. Let's see what the problems really are. Once they quit using and drinking, all the problems rise up to the top, and you can see what's going on.
You see what it really is.
Yeah, where they need help with.
And
Is it
so-
depression is what?
Yeah, and now you can't see it in the in the film, but right up here there's an apartment building, and so the people that can look down on those windows, they were not happy about this. They, as city people have said, let's face it, nobody wants to live next to homeless people, which I think is a very like just bigoted thing to say. I mean, if you said that about any other class in society, you would be condemned. You know, say that about an African American, I dare you. I dare you. But somehow that's okay to say about a homeless person. But whatever. Anyways, I like that. But it's shocking to start seeing tents below your, you know, and there were these like verbal fights where people would be loud and that sort of thing. So we are very, very diligent about being good neighbors. And so we're starting to work with them. So now we're going to be sharing our food pantry food with them. We bring them, like when we have extra pastries and stuff, we bring that to them. We would like to start doing an outreach of getting groceries for some of the people that can't get out of their apartments. So we really think that we could become an asset for that neighbor. That's what we're, you know, that's where we're trying to head with that.
Yeah, a lot of them are disabled or elderly and can't get around so well, so we're trying to help.
Nice little partnership.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. The beauty of the homeless is that they are incredibly powerful humans. They are not what you think about a homeless person. I mean, okay, yeah, is there a person literally in a gutter right now, drunk off of his gourd? Of course. Of course there is. There's also a doctor just on his 5th martini right now.
Right.
You know, right this minute. So it happens across society. Right. But there are many really hardworking, really good homeless people, and we give them this platform to be good.
Right, and you want to showcase that to the community. Because
and
again, it all goes back to your image, right?
Yeah, a lot of them have not had the opportunity of being civically minded. Right. You know, they've worked in a roofer or a carpenter or a plumber, and now they're giving back to the community. They've gone from being nothing, the bottom of society, to being important, to be a contribution, to being the civic leader, and it like snaps them back into importance just like that.
Yeah, as soon as they walk in the door, what's your skills? What can you do? That's the first questions I ask.
Sure.
What is your ability?
And they all have them.
Yeah,
they all have
everybody. We all
everyone.
Have them. Yes.
Yeah,
everyone.
And having ownership and a sense of responsibility probably encourage folks here to be on their best behavior because they have more responsibility and they're being entrusted. So I like that system of
You're also in a
trust there.
social network where everybody's observing you.
Right.
So
and that makes you want to be a better person if people are watching you. And
you know, it's that peer. I wouldn't say peer pressure,
but a peer review, peer support network.
Yeah.
And you know, you will get kicked out if you're not following the rules, and that's a consequence that hurts.
And you've had to
kick
people
all
out,
the time.
Okay.
All the time.
Yeah. We're not afraid to do it, but it's all very documented. Again, all homeless created, but we have a 3-strike policy, and you are given written notice. Everything is documented. So if a person comes back and says, you know, why did you kick me out? We have the documentation that shows that what you did against our code of conduct.
They get 30, 60, and 90 days off.
Yeah. Which is actually more lenient than some other
they
shelters.
can come back.
Right, they come back.
100%.
Yeah, so that's great.
it's all the second chance, right?
A lot of times, right. A lot of times during that time, they'll come up to the sidewalk and holler down and say, do you have any food? And we'll take food out to them or whatever. They're just not allowed on the property during that time.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's actually really it's a good idea, and I'm glad you guys are enforcing this. And plus, it gives you a sense of accountability to the community. And Sage, one thing I appreciate too is how transparent you are with your whole operation here. He's even admitted, like, hey, I had to be put into check a few times here and there, which is really, I mean, that's great. You know, that transparency I think goes a long way with people.
Yeah, I mean, I am not afraid to let people see what I'm doing, and this is a new risky thing that we're doing. This is innovative. This is like a coastal idea. This is what goes on in like Portland and San Diego. This stuff is very challenging to a Midwestern mentality, you know, and so I get it. I get the whole thing that it's scary and challenging, and so we always allow police can come here anytime. EMS, fire, the city. You are welcome here any time of the day or night. And sometimes we'll have reporters just stop in to see if what they were really seeing was real. Like, or are they just putting on a show? You know, and I want that. That's important because we're not putting on a show. This is
it's not a show. This is all real.
Yeah.
Everything you see.
Yeah, and basically, something needs to be done. You know, we have these people that are just being forgotten all over the country and in our city, and we should try something. If you got a better idea, please do it. Please do it. Let's all do it. You come up with a cool idea. Why don't you build like a little house in your backyard? They're doing that in Los Angeles.
Correct.
So you can, like, you know, why don't you try that? I mean, don't do it because you'll get fined. But seriously, like, I mean, those are cool things that are happening in homeless. I feel like America's ready now to look at our homeless situation and ask, is there something more that can be done here?
And it's not like we have a lack of houses or a lack of space for people, right? That's the perplexing thing about this problem is it's not like we don't have any houses. We have plenty. We have enough of probably abandoned houses in Akron to house everybody.
Oh, everyone, and there would still be plenty left over. Every homeless person gets an abandoned house.
Right.
We could have that. I mean, every single one. Like, and we'd have plenty left over. And that's the beauty of working on homelessness in the Rust Belt. Now, if you're in San Francisco, it's a whole different game.
Sure.
You know, there's no space. You're sticking them under bridges. You know, you're going crazy places. But we've got all this opportunity. You know, land. Like, I bought a piece of land, an entire lot for $3,000. Wow. You know, I mean, and the Summit County Land Bank could probably give you a lot of land for free.
Right.
I mean, you can't do that in San Francisco. We have this golden opportunity to work on homelessness and be a leader in this national epidemic.
Right.
Like it's really a real thing. We're not making this up. So why don't we take that opportunity and become great? Like, we have it. We have the intelligence. We have the innovation. We have the smart people. We have the land. We have the resources. Just, we got to get rid of the fear.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, the fear, the stigma.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm really glad that you're doing this, Sage, and that you're drawing attention to this very important situation in the community. And Paul, amazing work that you've been doing as well. Thank you.
We had to.
Yeah, awesome.
We could not allow this opportunity to pass.
Right.
And in order for us to be allowed to do this, we had to bring attention to it first.
Sure.
Or we've been shut down a long time ago.
Right.
That's just the honest truth.
Yeah.
It is. We are in a phase now where we want to share this with the community. We want people to come here because we believe if people can see that what is happening and see what we're doing, that there will become a social movement that will make it more difficult for the city to say, hey, you can't do that anymore.
Right. Absolutely. And we're glad that we got the opportunity to come and talk to you guys so we can showcase you. We don't reach a ton of people, but at least we can show you who we do have, and it's
every person
so we're
counts.
Grateful for that opportunity to come and see you guys and talk to you today. So thank you for coming.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Any closing thoughts or parting thoughts?
I don't know. I just think we're all people. You know, at some point in your life, you need some help.
Right.
Well, you know, everybody should be able to go somewhere and get some help.
Very true.
Definitely.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And so where can people find out more about this? Or actually, let's give people a link to donate and to contribute. So, sorry, we mentioned that earlier.
TheHomelessCharity.org. TheHomelessCharity.org has all the links. There's a link right on the front that says learn more about
TheHomelessCharity.org.
Okay. And then all the link to our Facebook. We have a thing where you can become a member, a patron for $1 a month, and you get all this inside information that only members get. You know, so you get exposés of people that are living here, our trials and tribulations, our successes. So when I talk on the outward blog, it's very general and conceptual, but the stuff in the membership stuff is real, like down to earth. What's really happening here?
It's hardcore.
Yeah. Ground level perspective.
Ground level.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
I wish you nothing but luck here, and I hope people can contribute to this wonderful cause. And good luck to you. Thank you so much.
Well,
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.